Why not? Let's just throw them in all sorts of movies. This will rewrite history in the popular consciousness. The same way that Forrest Gump is inserted into various events to help put forth, certain narratives that establish a consensus about the second half of the 20th century and what happened. So you can have Jeff can't play Forrest Gump, but he can be in it. He can be like how Elvis was in the movie. He'll just be a character that Forrest meets. It'll be a retelling of the Forrest Gump story, updated for the post-1994 time period. Jeffrey Epstein was a boarder at my mama's house. He used to always be dancing around and moving his hips. He called it beating the egg, and he said he would teach me to dance and how to beat the egg if my friend Jenny would give him back rubs. But Mr. Epstein, he must have been too tired after all those back rubs, because I never did get any dance lessons. And one day, Mr. Epstein, he asked me if I'd ever been on an airplane. Well, he said that we were going to fly to his island, and he had this team of scientists that he was going to introduce me to. They were going to fix my legs, but he said that I had to bring Jenny on the plane because he wanted her to meet all sorts of important people that she couldn't meet in Greenbow, Alabama. She met that young president of the United States, and while I was on the plane, I started talking to some kind of actor, and he told me his name was Kevin. And later on, I would see that actor. He was pretending to be the president on that Tucker Carlson show. That's all I got to say about that. And Kevin, he asked me, Forrest, why don't you come over to my house for some ribs? That doesn't sound like Kevin Spacey. Fuck it, who cares? Okay, Kevin Spacey. Well, when I went to that actor's house to eat ribs, things were happening to me that I didn't like. And so I just started running. And I kept running. And before I knew it, I had run clear across the county. And then I started, because I felt dirty, I started running clear across the country. In fact, I ran so fast from that, they saw me in Alabama, and they decided to put me on the football team. I was returning kicks. From there on, he becomes an All-American kick returner, and he goes to the White House, and it's Bill Clinton, not JFK. We got to update this somewhat from the past 30-ish years. Congratulations. How does it feel to be an All-American? And then, the I gotta pee scene. I gotta pee. I believe he said he's about to piss his pants. That's hilarious. While I was in college, Jenny got expelled over some photos of her and her college sweater. So she took me to something called the Playboy Mansion because I wasn't going to the NFL. Well, I met there this nice old man named Hugh Hefner, and he told me how much he really loved hugging Jenny. And I said, I like hugging Jenny too because I love her and, she's my girl. And he said, well, that's nice, Forrest. It's important to have love in one's life, your life. But don't worry about Jenny. She's got to go to a party right now, and she's in real good hands with my friends Bill Cosby, O.J. Simpson, and Don Cornelius. And trust me, Forrest, those guys really know how to respect a woman. I don't know why he turned into fucking Vince McMahon there. Vince McMahon getting excited about his toys. Well, Forrest, do you play ping pong? I said no. And Mr. Hugh Hefner actually taught me how to play ping pong. And I started getting tired, even though I had been drinking 15 Dr. Peppers. And somebody gave me a pill called Dexedrine. And Mr. Hefner said that this really gets you wired up and you start wanting. And he started questioning me about something called my bussy. And I said, I didn't know what that was, but we played ping pong. It must have been for 9 hours straight while Jenny was at her Black Panther party. And she must have been real tired the next day because she said her back was blown out and she couldn't walk. So I carried her home. That's all I got to say about that. And after I got done playing football, wouldn't you know it, Jenny became some kind of reporter for the NFL. She got into all sorts of trouble for being really close friends with a coach from New England. I didn't even know there was an Old England. Just right then, though, the Army called about me going to play someplace called Iran. I told them that I like to run. Well, they said, boy, you're going to be doing a lot of it. Jeffrey Epstein calls him, Forrest, if you ever get scared over there in Iran, I want you to run. I just want you to run in Iran. Remember, if a lion were around a local African, and I were around the lion and the local African, the African would be better suited to dealing with the situation than me. It's not better, it's just different, Forrest. And I want you to, and if you get scared, he's like, what's that movie? It was Saving Private Ryan. The woman that, if you get scared, just look at my tits. Jeffrey Epstein's like, Forrest, if you get scared, I want you to just remember my egg. I got sent to basic training after he showed me that egg. And that's where I met my best friend, Bubba. Bubba had this idea, but he was going to become something called a ghost fleet captain. I said, ghosts used to have meetings at Mama's house in Alabama. Greenbow, Alabama. Well, later on, me and Lieutenant Dan, we used to take our oil boat up there to Russia. And even I knew something was bad because we met the president of that there Russia. Forrest, I hear you have been wounded in the buttocks. Yes, sir. He shows Putin his ass. Whatever the fuck Russian sounds like. But Lieutenant Dan said that if I told anybody about this, he would use his knife to, quote, turn me into a girl. So that's all I got to say about that. One day, I saw that young president again testifying before the United States Congress about how he was friends with Mr. Epstein and Jenny. And they made him look at all sorts of photos of the two of them together. And you know something? That young president, when he saw pictures of Jenny, he smiled just like when I see Jenny.